Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to rise to speak to Bill 95 on second reading. It's been a long time coming. I think since probably when I was first elected, Greens have been calling for beneficial ownership legislation, which is what this is intended to do. So it's good that it's here, but it is fundamentally flawed in that ownership, those who would benefit from the operations of corporations are not required to reveal that information publicly, only to government. And that is wrong on so many counts. On so many counts. We were expecting that this bill would have the government opening the windows, letting the air in, pulling the drapes, letting the sunshine in on who's benefiting from corporate activities, who's owning them when it's not evident, when you have numbered companies or front companies, Mr. Speaker. We have had a chronic problem in New Brunswick over successive governments with corporate capture. And it's well established that one of the ways to try and minimize that temptation of governments to allow themselves to be captured by particular interests of particular large enterprises is to ensure that in all cases it's very clear to everyone who is benefiting from the operations and activities of those enterprises. No more numbered companies, no more front companies, but that information is broadly and publicly available. We know in this province, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to the incredibly problematic drug problems, the problematic crystal meth problem in particular, that's just growing out of control. Government is putting more money into enforcement. However, it is the case that one of the things that is giving oxygen to the drug trade in this province is money laundering through what appear to be very legitimate businesses. Money laundering through businesses that people would be shocked to learn that that's what was going on because of the name recognition and their familiarity with them, Mr. Speaker. This bill to amend the Business Corporations Act should open that up, should make it more difficult for those involved in the drug trade to not launder money through registered corporations in this province by making the ownership transparent to all. But that's not what this bill is doing unless it is amended and adopted that requires transparency, Mr. Speaker. So I imagine even for government is trying to encourage entrepreneurship, that in the competitive market, that entrepreneurs want to know, like, who are they competing against? Who are they competing against? And that this legislation will not guarantee that whatsoever. So, Mr. Speaker, it's hard. I guess it's easy to understand, but it's difficult to swallow the fact that this government has brought a bill forward for beneficial ownership that is not transparent to the public. No transparency whatsoever. It's just trust us. We'll take care of it. Well, that's not the way we work in a democratic society. One of the fundamental pillars of our democracy is transparency from government, from ensuring that government's legislation that's drafted and adopted by legislatures does not encourage the tight control of information by the cabinet of the day or by the bureaucracy of the day, but that public information is free-flowing. Richard Hatfield, years ago, early on in his administration, said the business of government is the business of the people. So when government is doing business with private enterprise, it is the people's right to know who they're doing business with. Another reason, Mr. Speaker, why this registry needs to be transparent and public, so that people can see who their government is doing business with and who in those businesses are benefiting from that government contract, in some cases that government large S. But they're not going to be able to, Mr. Speaker, because that information for those companies that don't reveal that knowledge, provide that knowledge automatically and just in the course of their business, and those who choose to hide it will continue to be able to hide it from New Brunswickers. And it's unacceptable, Mr. Speaker, and we will certainly be doing our best to amend that and ensure that this effort around beneficial ownership becomes transparent and not held in secret by government members, by the Cabinet, by the public service. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.